This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Little Fish Theater for their presentation of Private Lives by Noel Coward. Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Noah Wagner. I've just done a lot of local community theater since the early to mid-'80s. Got my degree from USC in 1985 and was a struggling actor until 2007, and now I just do it for fun most of the time. I played Elliot Chase. He is he's the male lead in the show, and he's the one who's married to Amanda, and we're both on our new marriages.
Yeah, Noel Coward, bit of a classic in here. What do you think was the message behind this play?
I think it was just the pretense that people think that marriage is, and think that relationships are, and think, what is a good marriage, what is a good relationship. It is called into question. It's like, everything has its ups and downs, and if the love is there, people can get through anything. And the thing that's a little scandalous is some of our contemporary viewpoints about fighting have changed, and so we had to temper the fight scene actually considerably from how Coward originally wrote it. But that's the bottom line, is that relationships, are messy, but it's all about love and compromise.
Yeah, actually, what I took from it was that with great passion comes great, suffering.
Literally and figuratively, yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, is that true for acting also? To be a great actor, you have to suffer?
I think sometimes. It depends on the role. It depends upon, like I said, I was a struggling actor for a very long time, and then it kind of got me down, so I kind of surrendered that, and now I just do it for the love of it. But also depending on the role, when I did Equus a few years ago playing the psychiatrist, Martin Dysart, I would take that home, and it was very weighty and very troubling. So as much as I missed the show closing, it was kind of a relief to kind of let that angst go.
All right, well, I thoroughly enjoyed the play.
Oh, thanks. I'm really glad. We have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Amanda Carr. I'm a local actress. I've done theater all across the Southland. I am a wife, a mother. I have a full-time job. Played Amanda. Amanda is newly married on her honeymoon after divorcing 5 years before Elliot Chase, who, although the love of her life, is also probably not the best match for her. They fought all the time. So it's their honeymoon night, and they realize that they are all at the same hotel. Elliot is there with his new wife, and they have adjoining suites. They meet, the sparks fly, they run away together, and then the sparks really start flying, and it ends up with a lot of craziness with the new spouses and the runaway lovers and their crazy French maid all in a Paris apartment.
I've always liked strong female characters in plays. Does this character strike you as a strong woman?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She is strong. She is unconventional. She is not afraid to go toe-to-toe with anyone. She has quite a temper, but she's also very smart. And she will always be her own person. So, yes, I think she's very strong.
One of my biggest complaints about, well, I guess the media and all that, was that they don't have strong female actors. Well, at least back then. Well, actually, this was actually pretty old. Back then, it leads to a very, very, unrealistic expectation of men who are growing up.
Oh, I can see your point with that. I think a lot of the movies of the time, the Little Woman type of thing, and especially in the 50s, there was a lot of that, of the woman's role as opposed to the men's role. And I think it did give people of both sexes an unrealistic expectation of what life was.
Yeah, but I do actually see this as being realistic. She's a very strong woman. She had her own opinions. Strong passion, but that also came a lot of fire.
Yes, definitely. The 30s were a little bit, the 20s and 30s, the women really did start breaking out of a lot of molds and being much more independent. And Noel Coward I found out of the playwrights of the time always had a strong character, a female character, to balance the characters that he wrote for himself. I've had the pleasure of playing 2 of them now, and there's always at least one woman in his plays who stands up to his character and says, you aren't going to do that. I won't take that from you. So.
Well, I loved your performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Elizabeth Craig. I am 16 years old, currently going to be a junior this fall at a high school in Long Beach. And I've been doing acting all my life since I can remember, since both my parents have been directors and actors at the same time. So this is my life. I played Louise, the crazy French maid. She is a bitter French woman who hates the people she works for because she believes they're stupid.
Okay, so basically here you are getting into show business. And I'm assuming because you have parents who are in the business that they've told you all the horror stories behind it.
Actually, you just talked with my mother, Amanda Carr. And yeah, I've actually experienced it firsthand, how hard it can be to be in community theater because, you don't get paid much, you gotta work real hard. And actually, as a child, I was more demanding than my parents ever were to their actors. You have to learn your lines before you get your costumes. That's the way I've always been. That's the way I think I'll always stay.
Why do you want to get into acting anyway?
Acting for me is fun because in real life, I am truly not that interesting. But on stage, I can be anyone I want to be. And to me, that's a great thing, and it helps that you can't really see them if you're not wearing your glasses or the stage lights are in your eyes. So it gives me a kind of freedom to be able to be someone else who I really think is cool.
Yeah. I always wondered, basically, because, again, a lot of actors, they start when they're young. Because it's something you just have to do when you're young, and some of the actors start when they're like 5.
Well, actually, for me, I started when I was 3 because of the way I grew up. My mother dragged me on a stage during Shakespeare's greatest hits during the last scene of Midsummer Night's Dream, and I just sat there in my little belle dress and just watched and acted along with my mother. And ever since then, I can really remember doing like school theater, and this is actually my first really community theater debut, which I think is really fun to be able to do with my parents.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the luck in the future.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Lucas Bailey. So I'm an actor here in Los Angeles. I moved out from a small farm in Nebraska. I've been doing this for about the last 10 years and excited to be a part of Private Lives here at Little Fish Theater. I played Victor in Private Lives. Okay. Victor is the epitome of British stuffiness. He is what everyone would expect of a British person. He's very tight-collared and tight-lipped, I guess you would say.
So what kind of backstory did you put into this character?
Well, for me, I feel that he's from like a very aristocratic family. I feel like he comes from good stock. It's been ingrained in him to be kind of the epitome of what the British standard is. When you meet a British person, what they see, how they want to be perceived by the public, when they're out in public as opposed to behind doors, which we get to see a little bit of the opposite of that in this play.
Yeah. Actually, one of my things about theater is that I feel that there should always be strong female characters. One of the reasons is I think if you don't have that, when someone grows up, they just don't have a true understanding of the world. And I think your character was like that. He did not understand women.
Absolutely. He's one of those awkward people that has no game at all. He definitely doesn't go into a room and go up to the hottest girl in the room and start a conversation. He's awkward. He falls back to his old tricks that he knows. He talks about philosophy. He talks about, the smart things. There's a lot of comments within this play that people don't realize, his line about the Baltic, that they talk about. He takes a geography reference and takes it clear up north as opposed to where everyone else is talking about. So he has a lot of that entwined into his character, that he is he approaches the world from an intellectual standpoint. Absolutely.
Yeah, what was the arc like? I noticed he changed a little bit at the end.
He does. I think he really realizes kind of, he says it, you never really loved me, Amanda. I realize that now. I think that kind of has softened him from this thought that he is the catch of the century, because he is the epitome of what you would see as a British person. So I do think that helps him with his arc when he realizes kind of the full circle of, I did love you, but you never loved me. And so that, of course, opens up his mind and experience to the end of the play.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for coming in and seeing us and giving us the time to tell us about our journey.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Leona Britton. I was born in England. I lived there till I was 12. I then moved to North Carolina. That was a culture shock. Did junior high there. High school was in California, so I've been in California now since I was 15. In college in Southern California, I went to Cal State Fullerton. I played Sybil. Sybil cries a lot, and Sybil is a very fluttery kind of a character. She is in a new marriage. She's just met her husband, Elliot. They've only been together 4 months, and got married right away, and she's young and thinks that a woman has a certain way that she needs to act to keep her husband, and she's very traditional.
So what kind of background story do you have for your character?
Sybil went to all the right schools. Sybil was trained to be a lady, to use all of her womanly powers to make her husband or to keep her husband, and then it all falls apart for her. And so she's left with her husband going back to his ex-wife, and she's a mess, doesn't know what to do. And her mother told her this would never happen to her. If she did everything right, her husband would never leave her, certainly not go back to his ex-wife, who's much older than her, if she did everything that she was supposed to do and trained in, in the most fine schools that she learned, how to be a woman or elocution and all that kind of stuff.
That's actually basically the stereotype of a woman.
Right.
It's like the women aren't strong characters. They're
Right.
just there to please the husband.
Right, exactly. But what I like about Sybil is that I think she breaks that free a little bit I think that the part of Sybil that her mother probably was worried about comes out in Act 2 because she goes to find her husband and get him back and fights for him. I like that she's not completely gives up and it's like, okay, well, I'll just play the damsel in distress. She goes back and tries to at least fight for him. So that's where the comedy is anyway.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Jim Rice, Director of Private Lives.
Okay, so why did you guys choose to do this play?
Well, it's a show that it's similar to a show I directed 2 years ago called Present Laughter, with the same two type characters. And the two actors were available, and I wanted to reprise those two actors in a funny show, and so they got the rights, and so we were able to put it up.
Yeah. So the story I got from here was basically that true passion will actually come with suffering. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. I think when you're passionate people or passionate for anything, I think the illusion is that when you're very passionate, everything kind of works out. But I think that no, that's just not the way things are. I mean, for anything, true success is shadowed with failure, and passion has to have a little pain with it. That's, passion's passion, and it comes out in whichever way it's going to. So yeah, I'd say there's a little angst or fire, and maybe less than suffering, but I think there's fire that fire can burn both ways.
What do you look for in your casting?
Well, in a show like this, I'm looking for somebody, first of all, who has good comic timing. I mean, a show like this has to be done at a very quick pace and has to have very good timing. So before I look at an actor in terms of whether they look like how I envision the character, I want to know they can do the role, technically speaking. And from there, then I look to see how they fit with each other. Is there a chemistry that can be built on, especially in a play like this? Amanda and Elliot have to have chemistry, otherwise the fighting is just kind of irksome. So those are the two things I look for. And then the third thing for me is I always want to make sure that I'm casting people who, what I call good in the room, right? That means that in the dressing room that there's a positive, supportive relationship and spirit. So I have a very strong no diva rule. That kind of detracts from that idea that we're all here having a play. Play is fun. And so those are the three main things I look for.
Little Fish Theater. Could you tell me a little bit more about this theater? Is it primarily a classical theater, or do they welcome new works?
Well, actually, I think the nice thing about Little Fish is it's a little bit of everything. Shakespeare by the Sea, which is our parent company, is our classical wing. At the same time, this season we're doing Henry IV Part 1. So we do classical as well, but we also do standard comedies like this or standard dramas, and then not only through Pick of the Vine, which is our one-act festival, we also do new works. Our next show coming up, Stones Cry Out, is a new work. And so what we look for is good stories to tell.
Well, I enjoyed this play.
I'm so glad you did. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to work on, and it's fun for me to listen to every night. So,
Great. Thank you very much for being on the show.
oh, it's absolutely my pleasure.
Private Lives by Noel Coward will be playing at Little Fish Theatre from June 12th to July 18th. For more information, go to www.littlefishtheatre.org or search for AMB Theatre, that's all one word, AMB Theatre on Facebook.